Morning, guys. Let's finish this thing up. I'm going to get the bumper off, get it on the plasma table / welding table / catch-all table, and we'll weld it all up, get it mounted back on. Well, we got to get the winch part too, but we'll finish the bumper. There's 8 half-inch bolts that hold that on. Don't think that winch don't put some pressure on that bumper, some force on it. That's my plate going back all the way back here. See that? Now it's pulled that one, pulled that one, pulled that one. Now it bolts on through that pad. It has these stiffener plates. Bolt on top of that and sandwich it all together. That's how that works. Let's look at this side. Yeah, see? Same thing. It's a lot of force on that. These are 3/16 too. But this is good. This is it did this. I did that there before put these on it to tie them all together. So, alright, there's our plate. That's the top. It goes on there like that. So now what we want to do is stick some rods or bolts or something through here to hold that in position so nothing moves. But first we've got some welding to do and build some gussets in the back. Alright guys, I'm going to get everything set and we'll go. Alright guys, I got it set up. What we want to do now, we're going to weld this up here. But we need to go down here to our gussets and go ahead and tack it. Can y'all see? Yeah. Tack it to our fair lead. If we don't, when we weld that bead across there, it's going to draw this up. So we want everything to stay where we put it. So we'll do tack the gussets, weld them to here, come over here, just like this. When I welded that tack right there, see how it drawed it away from it? That was up flush. This side didn't do it as bad, but it will do that. So you gotta strategically weld this stuff. Go ahead and use your gussets that you're using to strengthen this to hold it while you're welding on it. So I may just tack it here, tack it there, tack it around to get it to sit there, and then we'll flip it back, weld the top, and then come back under here. We'll see how it goes. You can always do that to purge your line. And if you flip these backwards, it's perfect. Got some paint on this under here, that sucks. Same thing up here. Weld that first, so it's going to draw it out away from it. side, the top. It works better on these. Anyway, I turned you off, but it works better on these vertical to start at the top and go down. And these flat welds are easy. But all up in here got paint. I didn't get all the paint off of it. You got to do that. But down in there looks good. And let's flip it over and do the top. We're gonna do a thin, try to do a thin weld on the top up there, where we don't have to grind it. You gotta keep the sun in your face. I don't know if you can hear me, but you gotta keep that sun this way. If it's behind you, you won't be able to see inside your welding helmet. The camera's in my way. Let's see how to do this. There we go. Nothing pretty on that one, just flat weld. So we can put our plate up there and we ain't got to worry with the grinding of it. Yep. Okay. That'll work. Let's get a rod to stick down through there to hold those. Tack it. Tell you what, let's turn the bumper around. Let me move you guys, that way I ain't working over this hoop. You gotta stay comfortable and you'll never have a good looking weld. Let's tack that in place. killing me. I know y'all can't see any of this, but I told you I'd show you welding it, and that's what we're doing. Sometimes just me watching people go through the motions shows me a lot. We got a little bit of paint down in that crack because I didn't clean it like I was supposed to. So this may go good, this may not. Let's see. These are hot. Get some get something to clean it off. I got to get y'all a battery. You got like 1 minute left. Alright, we got a fresh battery. Let's see how we did. This is totally overkill, and I know that. The whole thing's overkill. I'm going to put another pass on top of that. Just because I'm having fun welding it. You won't have all that stuff popping in it. And the wind blowing it away. Yeah. That will definitely hold. It would have held the way it was. A little wider on this end than that end, but that's okay. Alright. I think it's pretty much bulletproof the way it is. This bumper ain't that heavy either. I'd say it weighs 45 pounds maybe 50. Alright guys, I know this is probably going to be a short video, but welder off. I'm going to take the grinder to them points and get those off of there and blend it in. But there's our welds there. Need to close that up right there. I think she'll be good to go. That's what we had the welder set on. Should have been a little bit hotter. 26 volts, 350 wire speed. If you set your machine up like it says on your guide, and I usually just dial it back a little bit on the feed until it gets good. I didn't even mess with it this time. I just put it where it's supposed to be and let it rip. You can also speed up and slow down to change that too, you know. But inside baseball, grinder and paint make you the welder you ain't. But that's how you get good at welding. I mean, I'm not the best at it myself. You know, you learn every time you weld something. You just have to build things and keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. Hell, I've been welding shit up my whole life, and that's as good as I've got, and I've never had any kind of schooling on it or anything like that. I just have always went by the guide, make sure the metal's clean, weld it up. And you'll see me doing that little bit of a circular motion. That's how you get it to look like some of these. Well, I didn't cover them up with paint now, but that's how you get them to look decent, like that and like this, and like that was perfectly flat. I knew that was going to be visible on the side, so I do got some splatter and stuff because there was paint. There was still a little bit of paint on there, but it ain't perfect, but nothing ever is. You strive for excellence and you end up with mediocre, and it's usually good enough. I mean, there's no reason to not try it because you think you might fail. I mean, if you guys that are new at this stuff, buy you a welder and get after it. I mean, it's not rocket science. Amtrak collided with a CSX train this morning. But for you younger guys that are just starting out doing this stuff, you can't be afraid to try things. Now, if it's something structural like your link bars or something like that, then get somebody to help you or show you, or you know, at least make sure you're, you know, confident your welds are going to hold. Weld something together. Here's what you do. When I first started out, I never thought anything was going to stick because I never had a good welder at first. Then I got a 250 Hobart that I used for years, and the first thing I bought that 250 Hobart, and I really wasn't a very good welder back then. I still not perfect at it, but I can do it. But you know, this was 20 something years ago, and what I did was I welded two pieces of angle together in a box, like a box, and I beat it on the concrete with a hammer just to see if my welds would break. That's one way to make yourself confident that your welds are going to work. Do what even the professional welders, they'll weld two plates together, and then they got a round piece of stock and a fixture, and they press it around that round stock and see if it breaks. And then they cut it and etch it and they do all kinds of stuff. But if you got a decent welder and you're not welding too thick of stuff, and you set it up by the manual or by the chart, you're going to be pretty good with your temperature, and it's going to stick. Now, you don't have to use a MIG welder. A MIG welder is probably the easiest thing to weld with, is a MIG welder, in my opinion. I can stick weld okay. I want to get a stick welder and a TIG welder eventually, but first off, we got to get a bigger shop because this one is about full. I'm having to move things just to do something, and I'm getting tired of that. So all this here is going to have to change for, you know, in the next couple years. But I want to get a stick welder and a TIG welder and all that stuff because I like learning new things. I've got this down enough to do stuff on the Jeep just fine, and this is really all I'll ever need It's just I'm a lifetime learner. I like to learn things, so, and I like to show people things. But as far as building something like this, you know, try it out. I mean, if you're just new at welding, Eastwood makes pretty affordable welders that are good. That's what this one is. You don't have to have a 250. A 140 would probably do fine. I would get a 220 welder though. I wouldn't try with a 110. They do work, yes, and I've had them and I've had to use them. But this is a lot more versatile. What 220 is. I mean, this will weld on 110 also, and I've welded stuff on 110 with it. When I first got it, I didn't have the proper wiring yet, so that's with 110, and you can see how globbed up it is. It's not hot enough. But that was the first welds I ever did with this thing, and shoot, what, 2 years ago now? But you can do a lot of stuff with a welder and a cutoff wheel. And these grinders, I know I've done turned this into a tool thing. These cheap $9 grinders from Harbor Freight, they have their uses. Like if you put a cutoff wheel on that, it doesn't have enough power to sling that thing apart and go everywhere. I mean, it'll break it, but it won't sling it apart. Versus this Milwaukee I use on my wire wheel, that thing there with a cutoff wheel is dangerous because it is powerful. And this little Black & Decker, I think Jennifer got it from me from Walmart. You know, good selection of grinders with a wheel, a wire wheel, a flapper wheel, a cup wheel, and a grinder wheel. I swap grinder back and forth with that, and you're good to go. And if you don't like the way your welds look, grind it, grind them down smooth, and either try it again or let it be. But eventually you'll get better because you get tired of grinding on the welds. But if you get a gas MIG welder, they work pretty good. A flux core will frustrate you at first. They work good, but they'll frustrate you at first because it's kind of hard to get the weld looking decent. But they do work too. Y'all look at, there's a guy on YouTube, Chucky, what's Chucky's thing? He's got a YouTube channel, Chucky something. He does a bunch of welding reviews. He just reviewed a welder last night. It was a $114 stick welder, and it seemed to work pretty good. And if you know, if that's all you can afford, you know, something like that. And I've seen reviews on those new Harbor Freight welders. They seem to be pretty good. But you know, the thing is, you can't get frustrated with it. A stick, if you're learning right off the bat, if you've never welded anything, I would go with a wire welder. A stick's going to frustrate the hell out of you. And get a wire welder with gas if you can afford it. If you can't, just get a flux core welder and use that. It just requires a lot of cleanup and stuff, but they do work. Luke welded that whole TJ up with a flux core welder. They work good. They work really good with flux core wire and gas. If we'd had some of that today, we wouldn't have got none of that spatter. That spatter was happening because there's a little bit more paint on it. That flux core helps with that, and the wind was blowing my gas away. So it was making it, you know, popcorn a little bit in spots when the wind would blow just right. Anyway, guys, I'm sitting here watching paint dry. I guess I'll show y'all when it's black and then we'll be done. I think I want to be reincarnated as a cat. Look at her. Hey. It's not good to do that. That's how you get locked in the shop. And you're all mad when I come back and find you. Here's the finished product. Not too bad, not too bad. I like it. So now I'm going to let the paint dry up. And we will, next video we're going to tear this apart and see what's in there. And I took a lot of motors apart and units, but I've never had one of these apart yet. But we're going to see what's in there. Clean that drum up. We're going to coat that with something where it don't rust anymore. And y'all remember what I said about the welding. You know, don't be afraid of it if you've never done it. Try it. Make something square. Beat it with a hammer. See if you can break it and get your confidence up, because it's a lot cheaper. That mount cost me nothing. It was all out of scrap metal. So scrap metal's a little bitch to work with because you gotta clean all the paint off of it. If you don't, your welds will be messing up on you like it did me on the bottom because I forgot to clean that. But you can make things that I think the cheapest winch mount there is like 60 bucks, and it's that 1/4 inch thick stuff there. You know, don't be afraid of it. Buy you one of them DIY bumpers and weld it together. When you get done with it, you'll be pretty good at it. Might take a lot of grinding, but you can't hurt that bumper. That bumper's just basically holding it all together. Y'all take it easy, guys. We'll holler at y'all later. We'll see y'all soon. We'll be doing that winch next. Alright, take it easy. Bye.